Ever look up at the night sky and just get completely lost in thought?
Oh, yeah, totally. The stars and planets and all that stuff, it's really something.
Makes you feel pretty small, right?
Makes you realize just how much we don't know.
Exactly. And that sense of wonder, of wanting to unravel those cosmic mysteries, that's what we're tapping into today as we take a deep dive into the world of theoretical physics.
Very cool.
Our source material today is a conversation between Leonard Susskind. I mean, you know who he is, right?
Oh, of course. One of the biggest names in physics.
Exactly. True giant in the field. And he's chatting with Curt Jaimungal.
I'm familiar with his work as well.
Yeah, and together they really dig into this fascinating but kind of tricky dynamic between holding on to established theories.
Right, the stuff that's considered like the foundation of physics.
Right, versus being open to these new ideas, some of which are pretty radical.
And you need both, right? You got to have that solid foundation, but you also need people pushing boundaries.
Yeah, it's like a balancing act, isn't it? And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. So let's jump right in. Susskind, as you probably know, is a huge advocate for string theory.
Anyone as he is.
He's like the poster child, right? For those not familiar, it's this idea that everything in the universe is made up of these tiny vibrating strings.
And that these strings are what give rise to all the fundamental forces and particles.
Right. It's attempting to create this unified theory of everything, which is pretty ambitious.
To say the least.
But here's the thing. Susskind isn't afraid to go head-to-head with folks who propose alternative theories.
Oh, he's known for his strong opinions.
Oh, yeah. In this conversation, he really takes aim at Euclidean twistor unification, which tries to explain the geometry of space-time in a different way.
It's a pretty complex concept.
Oh, yeah, way above my pay grade. But Susskind basically argues that it just doesn't hold up mathematically.
And he's also pretty critical of Gerrit Lisi's work, another physicist who's trying to develop a theory of everything.
He finds flaws in Lisi's approach, too. So it really begs the question, is Suskind's critique purely objective? Like, is he just being a rigorous scientist, or is there a bit of bias creeping in?
I think that's a valid question, right? I mean, he's so closely associated with string theory.
Like his baby.
It would be hard not to feel a bit defensive, wouldn't it? If someone's challenging something you've poured your heart and soul into.
Totally. But that's where things get tricky, right? Because you need that healthy skepticism in science.
Absolutely. It's what drives us to question everything, to test and retest and refine our understanding.
But how do you differentiate between that healthy skepticism and just shutting down anything that challenges the status quo?
That's the million-dollar question.
And here's the kicker. Susskind actually acknowledges that the physics community can be very resistant to new ideas, especially ones that come from outside the mainstream.
Wow, that's a pretty big admission coming from someone in his position.
Right. And it makes you wonder if that resistance is actually hindering scientific progress.
Because if you're too focused on defending the established theories, you might miss out on the next big breakthrough.
Absolutely. So here's where it gets really interesting, right? Susskind, the string theory guy, the guy who's literally written the book on it, give 3 pieces of advice to young scientists. And it's advice that's kind of unexpected.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Okay, so first he tells them to trust their intuition.
Okay, that's good.
Like, don't be afraid to pursue an idea, even if it seems out there, or if someone really famous kind of poo-poos it.
Makes sense, because truly revolutionary ideas, they often seem crazy at first.
Exactly. Second piece of advice, he tells them to challenge the status quo.
Which is sort of ironic coming from him, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's kind of the establishment at this point, but his point is that science needs people who are willing to question everything.
Absolutely. If no one pushes back against the prevailing theories, then how can we ever move forward?
Exactly. And the third piece of advice he gives, and I think this one's the most important, never lose your curiosity.
Ooh, I like that.
He's like, follow the questions that really grab you, even if they seem kind of weird or out there at first.
Because you never know where they might lead.
Exactly. And now, get this. He actually admits that he himself has dismissed ideas in the past that later turned out to be really important.
No way, really.
Yeah, he's basically saying, hey, I've made mistakes, don't be like me. That's got to take a lot of humility to admit that.
It shows that he's not afraid to acknowledge his own fallibility.
Yeah, which I think is really refreshing, especially for someone of his stature.
So it sounds like both Susskind and Jaimungal are pushing for a more open-minded approach within the physics community.
Oh yeah, they're basically saying, let's engage with these alternative theories, even the ones that seem a bit wacky at first.
Right, let's dissect them, debate them, and see if they hold up under scrutiny.
And it makes you think about all the times in history when groundbreaking ideas were initially met with resistance or even ridicule.
Oh, absolutely. Like continental drift. The idea that the continents were once all connected and have been slowly drifting apart over millions of years.
Right. Or the theory of germs causing disease. People thought that was crazy at first.
They thought diseases were caused by bad smells or evil spirits.
Exactly. But imagine if those scientists had just given up because the mainstream thought their ideas were nuts.
We'd be stuck in the dark ages, wouldn't we?
Big time. It makes you wonder what groundbreaking ideas are out there right now that are being dismissed or overlooked.
What's brewing in some lab or in some obscure research paper that might seem totally bonkers today, but could completely revolutionize our understanding of the universe tomorrow?
Exactly. That's the question I want our listeners to ponder on.
It's an exciting thought, isn't it? The possibility that we're on the cusp of some incredible discovery that could change everything we thought we knew.
It really makes you realize that science is a constantly evolving journey, and the most important thing is to stay curious and keep an open mind.
Absolutely. Because who knows what incredible secrets the universe is still hiding, just waiting for us to uncover them.
Well said. I think that's a great note to end on. Until next time, keep looking up and never stop questioning.
Couldn't agree more. It's a big universe out there, and there's still so much to discover.